Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening, everyone. First tonight, a damning report has found a former Northwest Regional Hospital manager victimised staff and even delayed the opening of new helipads. An Integrity Commission investigation released today also revealed former Corporate Services Director Simon Foster used his role to appoint people he knew.
Alarm bells began ringing at Tasmania's third largest hospital in April last year. Today, a report has revealed a long list of misconduct by former manager Simon Foster. Among findings unearthed by the Integrity Commission, that he victimised staff, was absent from work, slept on the job, removed items such as doors, even delayed the opening of new helipads at the Northwest Regional and Mersey Community Hospitals.
The government, of course, will be looking at the report very carefully, and of course it's an operational matter and it's a matter for the Tasmanian Health Service.
The Health Service says it strengthened its policies and processes. Mr Foster left the State Service in June 2019 when he was told of the investigation.
One must ask the question as to whether this is attributing to the government's difficulty to attract and retain permanent staff right across the Northwest region.
Meanwhile, the Mersey Community Hospital remains in the spotlight over reduced emergency department hours. Deborah De Angelis says she wasn't able to stay at the hospital after she was admitted for a serious bowel condition 4 weeks ago.
I was transported then to Burnie Hospital by my partner and spent almost 24 hours there, 22, 23 hours in the emergency department as there was no beds available in surgical.
The Health Minister says further limiting services at the hospital was a tough decision.
And we're continuing to explore all options to see how we can extend the hours of coverage there.
Just when the department will return to full hours is still unknown. Sean McComish, 7 Tasmania News.
A 31-year-old man is in custody after allegedly shooting at a house at New Norfolk this afternoon. Police say the man was in his vehicle when he fired at the Benjamin Terrace property just after midday.
Whilst we always have concerns where firearms are used in any sort of crime in the public, we'd like to reassure the public that this wasn't a random attack, that this was very much a targeted attack between two known people.
No one was injured and no damage was caused. The man was arrested at a Magra property on Back River Road shortly after the alleged shooting. Multiple police units are currently on the scene conducting further investigations relating to the incident. And a man received serious injuries during an aggravated burglary at a Devonport home last night. The man was allegedly assaulted with a paling and metal pole inside his Croft Avenue home at 11:30. A 45-year-old man from Burnie and a 29-year-old man from Devonport have been charged with aggravated burglary and assault. Police say it was not a random attack and the men were known to each other. Anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Tasmania Police's capacity to investigate major crimes has been bolstered with the establishment of a new intelligence command. The division will be staffed by more than 60 officers, targeting only the most serious of offences.
Olsen exploring his new office. This now the home of Tasmania's new Crime and Intelligence Command.
For once in Tasmania's Tasmania Police history, we'll actually have a commander overseeing crime, governance and policy for Tasmania Police and for the Tasmanian community.
The new division, dedicated to tackling major offences and crimes, expected to rise in the future. Its focus, the State Intelligence Service, e-crime investigation and serious crime support.
It will give us a better ability to combat organised crime, firearm trafficking, serious drug distribution, child exploitation and serious financial crime.
What it allows us to do is to have better focus, and have better focus on the child exploitation in particular, which is unfortunately a growth area across the world.
6 new officers and a total of 62 staff are on board, including 3 specialists allocated to combat the supply and distribution of drugs online.
Closely organised and of course it's statewide, taking into account the districts as well, they can manage all the issues from a statewide perspective.
And police say even in the midst of a global pandemic, crime doesn't stop.
While we have seen, fluctuations in crime and in some cases reductions, serious organised crime has a good ability to be able to morph and change with the times.
The unit, established as part of a review into next generation policing in the state. Ruby Kamain, 7 Tasmania News.
A coronial inquest has continued into the deaths of 6 infants and 1 teenager in Tasmania. The court yesterday heard all families were linked to Child Safety Services, with an expert criticising the department's response and intervention. Today, that witness returned, saying the system is under pressure nationwide and reduced staff and increased workloads can lead to cases being overlooked or even dismissed. The inquest before Coroner Olivia McTaggart wraps up tomorrow. Meanwhile, Hobart's Supreme Court has heard the appeal of a convicted killer's sentence. Belinda Leonie Colburn fatally stabbed Aaron Matthew Monaco at Newnham in 2016. Unlike her co-killer Nathan Thomas Smith, Colburn pleaded not guilty. Defence telling the court some evidence that led to her fate wasn't reliable. Prosecution arguing her sentence was appropriate. The matter has been adjourned for judgment at a later date. Briefings have begun as part of a new attempt to see voluntary assisted dying legalised in Tasmania. Today, Upper House MPs were briefed on the controversial legislation, while Mersey MLC Mike Gaffney delivered a special speech on his proposal, thanking supporters.
Mr President, I would like to personally thank the thousands of people who have supported this bill, have forwarded their viewpoint, who have contacted me and have spoken to me regarding this issue.
The bill is expected to be tabled in Parliament on Thursday. Swimmers will once again be allowed to enjoy a dip at Blackmons Bay Beach following a significant clean-up effort to improve water quality. In 2018, the southern end of the beach was given a poor quality rating, meaning swimmers were discouraged from entering the waves. But after 2 years of work, those warnings have now been lifted. To solve the issue, experts had to fix 50 different faults, leaks, breaks and cross connections, all contributing to the overall problem. A futsal frenzy has taken place at the Silverdome. More than 200 players laced up for the Northern School titles. Most are new to the sport, with the event seen by organisers as a great way to boost interest.
It's more of an introduction to for a lot of schools and a lot of students. It just obviously exposes the game to those kids.
Futsal Tasmania says promising talents have, in the past, progressed from these titles to play at interstate level. 26 primary schools took part in today's competition. Well, after nearly 95 years, the killer fatty Sailyards in Launceston traded for the last time today. Farmers will now take their stock south to Paurana.
It's an end of an era. City-based Sailyards are pretty rare these days. So yeah, there's mixed feelings, there's a little bit of sadness, obviously.
The decision to close the Sailyards was driven by a need to operate in a centralised location that meets modern standards. Devonport City Council is hopeful a 5-year deal secured last night will ensure an iconic vessel will resume sailing tours in Bass Strait. The Julieburgess has been plagued with heavy losses and dwindling passenger numbers, with Council saying this new agreement is the only way to keep the ketch in the Mersey.
After battling the seas, the Julieburgess is once again preparing to set sail. Devonport Council deciding last night to lease the vessel, ending a year-long expressions of interest process.
The deal's changed it in I guess it'll cut some of those overheads, but it will also allow the JB to continue to train volunteers and to continue to work with a really passionate group of people and hopefully grow that.
The vessel hit rough conditions, with losses amassing nearly $65,000 a year, prompting the council to look at other options. For the next 5 years, Julieburgess Incorporated will oversee the maintenance and operations of the ketch. The group is hoping to be back on the water next month, but passenger numbers will be limited as a result of COVID restrictions.
We'll probably be limited to like 14. So that's 6 crew and 8 passengers. Hopefully, if the weather's fine, we'll be able to run that regularly.
Devonport Council considered multiple offers for the Julieburgess over the past year, but keeping the vessel in the Mersey was key to its decision. The council is hopeful it will bring a tourism boost to the region. Elizabeth O'Neill, 7 Tasmania News.
TSL coaches hope Damien Gill's promotion to AFL Tasmania boss will clear communication lines and secure the competition's future. On the wish list from coaches, making the game more attractive to players. As Damien Gill takes the helm, State League coaches are eager for his ear and to be listened to. Coaches say communication between club and CEO, the outgoing Tricia Squires, needed work.
I think it can get better, and obviously someone like Damien is a very personal guy, so hopefully that's at the forefront of his mind, that he really communicates with the clubs and the coaching staff at each club.
Gill will operate within a shrunken AFL machine following job cuts and the effective death of the NEFL. Keeping star players in the State League and not regional ones is a growing challenge, according to former SFL coach Dan Willing.
Enticing those players to come to the State League is really hard. They don't get any more money to come to the State League. The money's pretty similar to come play in the State League. They train 3 times a week. They've got to do their recovery. They travel away. At SFL level, if you can't make training, it's not that big a deal.
Willing suggests a beefed up budget will help.
I'd argue that the competition is probably going as good as it has done in many years, so I just hope AFL Tas over there can see that as well and identify it's really important part of Tasmanian football to have a very strong State League competition.
A soggy Lauderdale Oval will host the Bombers and North Hobart this weekend. Meanwhile, Premier League hockey was stunned when an accidental clash put a stop to a match. OHA goalkeeper Henry Chambers needed stitches post-match, while University's Will Mulross was hospitalised. OHA held on for a 2-1 win, but the clash was unsettling.
Just 2 players going at the ball, pretty freak accident, and you never hope for those sort of injuries to happen.
OHA's up against Derwent this week, coming off a huge 6-0 thumping of Diamondbacks. Players say they didn't mind the quick turnaround for a midweek fixture.
It's obviously a little bit weird because it doesn't happen very often here, but I think it keeps the game fresh in your mind. Certainly I'll be thinking about what I could have done better on an individual perspective.
And Northwest graduates could just about lock in the minor premiership when they played the struggling Diamondbacks on Saturday.
We did have a bit of a mid-season slump and we're sort of clawing our way back out of that, but at the moment, yeah, we're going pretty well, quite happy.
Grads are coming off a 3-1 win over Canterbury.
Good evening. The cool west to south westerlies continued today, keeping the temperatures below average. A fairly cold start too, wasn't it? Hobart 13, the northern centres 14 degrees. Temperatures ranged from -5 on Mount Wellington to 15 today at Eddystone Point. Bushy Park, Wynyard, St Helens and Friendly Beaches all 14. Low Head and the Islands 13, Grove and Strawn 12, Lyawini a high of 6. A few showers too over the west and south as low clouds streamed over those regions. The north and east, as you can see there, basically cloud free. Cold air is moving over Tasmania and Victoria with cloud linked to cold fronts heading over the Southern Ocean. Tomorrow the high extends ridges far and wide, holding the cold fronts to the south and the troughs to the west. We'll have westerly winds blowing up to 25 and even 30 knots over the south, tending northwesterly in the evening with swells to 4 metres. The strong wind warning is for waters between Wineglass Bay and Low Rocky Point. Hobart expecting 14 tomorrow and partly cloudy, maybe a shower for Geeveston, 13 the maximum, 11 the top for Bothwell. Launceston looking for 14 tomorrow and partly cloudy, same for Devonport and the same for Cressy. 13 for Burnie and partly cloudy, a few showers for Strawn on 12 and Curry on King Island with 14 degrees. 15 the high for St Helens and partly cloudy, 14 for Swansea and Orford. On Thursday, showers firstly over the north, west and far south, reaching elsewhere later. Snow above 700 metres. Fine and sunny over the north and east on Friday, but showers continuing in the west and possibly south. And on Saturday, morning showers over King Island and the west. Fine and mostly sunny for the rest of the state. Sunny and 21 in Perth tomorrow, fine in Adelaide and 19, partly cloudy weather in Melbourne and also Brisbane, sunny and 18 in Sydney. Bit of cloud over Hobart, it's 9 degrees at the moment, 9 in Launceston, but mostly clear, and Devonport currently 9 degrees. That's the weather for today, which is National Middle Child Day. You probably didn't realise that, Kim, it often goes forgotten.
I don't know. That's all your news for this Tuesday, the 25th of August. There'll be news, sport and weather updates later tonight. Have a great night. See you.